Hi, everyone. This is Lynn Bouthier from lynnbouthier.com. I'm a certified trauma recovery coach, and I'd like to welcome you to the first episode of my new series entitled Catching Myself Feeling Good. Now, why would I start a video series entitled Catching Myself Feeling Good? It's because trauma and abuse survivors live in a series of patterns. We have patterns where we can experience feeling, for lack of a better word, crummy. We can feel awful. We can feel that what has happened to us is so overwhelming, and at times it is. It absolutely is. I'm a certified trauma recovery coach, and I want to honor that sometimes I don't feel good because of what's happened to me. And I know that many of you don't feel good because of what has happened to you. And when we're talking about certain things like, the things that would cause us to need to remind ourselves to become anchored and grounded. At the beginning of almost all of my videos that are not a short, the full-length videos, I ask my viewers to become anchored and grounded, bring their nervous system into a state of anchored and groundedness. For what reason? For their own safety, so that they can do their trauma recovery work in a state of feeling good. When we feel safe, we feel good. And so anchored and groundedness is essentially bringing our nervous system into a state of feeling good so that we can safely do our trauma recovery work and get the most benefit from it. Well, when I ask people to do that, it's not because I'm being bossy or I feel like just, telling people this is what I want from you and I think you should do it. No, it's because it comes from a state of compassion and empathy and care and attunement and wanting deeply for other people exactly as I want for myself. That comes from a book on my shelf. It's in the stack of blue books right here. In that stack of blue books is a book that's called The Science of Getting Rich, and it's not about greed in any way. It's about recognizing that we can do things in our lives in a certain way. And the more we do them in a certain way, the more the good stuff comes to us. It's a book about abundance. It's a book about manifesting. It's a book about bringing into our experience the very best experiences that we can have by having the understanding that I have a responsibility to bring other people into the best experience that they can have with me. If I'm interacting with them, I can take steps to make sure they're having the best interactive experience that they could have. And if I do that and I apply that concept to whatever I'm doing, but when it applies to my career or my place of business or a service that I provide out in the world, a place that a store that I work at or a clinic that I provide care at, if I apply these principles to everything that I do, then the goodness will come. And so Wallace D. Wattles, the author of the 1910 book, the original book, The Science of Getting Rich, one of the things that he says again in that book is, what I want for myself, I want for everyone else too. And that's how come I'm making this series entitled Catching Myself Feeling Good. Now, in order for you to be able to tell when you look at my video feed on my channel, to see if there is a video that is a regular video, which I'll refer to as a regular video, but it's a video from my ongoing series entitled Monogamous at 13, which are about trauma and abuse recovery. That's the whole point of all of that, is to share my personal story from the dual perspective. But now this is a different series that's starting, and to help you have a visual to differentiate whether or not just at first glance, to be able to tell whether or not this is one that is monogamous at 13 series, or if it's the Catching Myself Feeling Good series. I've made it super easy for you. I went to my closet and I pulled out my only yellow clothing. I have a yellow tank top, okay, a yellow tank top and a yellow blouse. This is just a little tiny calico print poplin blouse. And I bought it specifically because I started laughing when I looked at this blouse and I said out loud, this is a blouse that I would never wear. Look at that. I just caught myself feeling good. Said something that, and had a memory that just cracked me right up. I pulled it off the rack and I held it up. I was all by myself and I said out loud, well, there's a blouse that I would never wear. Why? Because it's sunny. It's sunny. It's yellow. It's just a happy looking blouse. And I knew right away, oh, that's not for me. I would never wear that. And then I looked and I was at Macy's when I was looking at this blouse, and it was one of their clearance racks. And I wear plus size clothes, and it was in a plus size clearance rack. And I lifted it up and I looked at it and I said, I would never wear that. And just as I was about to put it back on the rack, the tag had kind of turned and was facing me, and it was marked $4.99. And I thought, you know what? I'm going to step outside of my comfort zone, and I'm going to buy a yellow blouse, which is something I can tell you in my entire adult life, I have never once done. At the end of this month, I'll be 61 years old. I have never in my life went and purposely, intentionally purchased a yellow piece of clothing other than, and it's not clothing, it's shoes. But I have one pair of Bastad Troentorp clogs that are almost the same shade of yellow that's in this, and they're sandals. And I like them a lot, but I've never worn yellow clothing as an adult. And so what happened when I bought this yellow blouse was I had right around that same time, it sat in my closet. This has been in my closet for months. Well, I was at a different store and they had clearance tank tops, and I bought a yellow one. And so I have these two pieces of yellow clothing, and I've had the tank top for a while. But a tank top is what I wear for pajamas in the house in the summertime. It's part of my pajamas. So I was strictly speaking about clothing that I would wear outside of the house. I've had the tank top longer, but the blouse isn't something I would wear to bed. This is something that I would wear out in the world, and I would not have done it. But now I went to my closet this morning after I made my first video for the day, and I knew that the next video that I'm going to make is the first video in the series, Catching Myself Feeling Good. And I went to my closet and I'm thinking, what is the one piece of clothing in here that will be the thing that I will wear every single time I make a video about catching myself feeling good? And there it was, right in my closet, waving hello, pick me. And so I pulled it out and I put it on. And I came over here and I, started making the video. And you might not be able to see it because the background is kind of busy background behind me. But I have on some earrings that are gold tone earrings, and I have on a gold tone chain. And this is what I will look like. I might not always have the same, jewelry on when I make this video series. But I will be wearing this tank top and this shirt, this blouse, to show you at first glance. When you see the video in the video feed, you'll be able to tell right away. That's one of the ones where Lynn's going to be talking about catching herself feeling good. Why on earth would I make a series about this in the first place? Because it's a concept that came to me. I was just, every once in a while, creativity flows. And the more we heal our trauma, the more we heal from abuse and trauma, the more creativity comes back and it rises up in us. And then we become a person who is now much more connected to our creative ideas, our creative talents, our creative experiences. the way that we can problem solve in a creative way. Creativity is not just creating things that we have, carved from wood or molded with clay or sat down and wrote like beautiful haiku or, beautiful essays or things like that. No, it's not just that stuff. Creativity can be part of how we problem solve. And we can problem solve better and with more creativity when we are actively healing our trauma and healing from abuse, because we come out of the freeze state. What is trauma? Trauma is a great disconnector. I learned at the International Association of Trauma Recovery Coaches that trauma's nickname is the great disconnector. And I don't know who coined that phrase, but I was taught that in a class at IAOTRC, and it stuck with me. Trauma is the great disconnector. And then the executive director of the IAOTRC, the woman who created the IAOTRC, which is an organization, an association, I should say, that teaches baby coaches like me how to go out into the world and engage with people in certified trauma recovery coaching sessions so that they can heal their trauma and live the life that they love to live. That is exactly how they say it to us, that is what they are teaching. And so when we have this awareness that trauma disconnects us from what? From ourselves, from other people, from our environment, from our world, and essentially the universe. It just keeps going outward and outward and outward and outward, how much we're disconnected from everything. What is the way that we become connected again? What do we need to do to become connected? We need to recognize that there were lies that we believed about ourselves, and we can change our core beliefs about ourselves, about others, about our environment, about the world and the universe. And we can rewire our brain through these small understandings going forward and let go of the old ideas, the old paradigm, the old beliefs that we had, and create the new, healthier ones, which we should have had all along, but something or someone separated us. They disconnected us from that reality, the truth. They disconnected us from the truth. They disconnected us from what we love, what we want, what we can have, be, and do. And so we bring that back by making small, new changes in our understandings, our beliefs, our thoughts, our core beliefs. And then when we change what's going on in here and in here, then everything on the outside feels like it's coming along with us. And that is why it would be vitally important to catch ourselves feeling good, because we're actually rewiring the brain from feeling awful to feeling okay, and then eventually to feeling good. And some of us who do it consistently and persistently can actually bring ourselves into a state of joy. We can bring ourselves into a state of abundance in our life, recognizing the abundance around us. Abundance of what? All the good stuff. Every feeling, every emotion, every thought, every belief, every experience, every desire, everything that we can recognize that feels good. So that's the whole point to this new series. And so today, the first one that I'm going to start with is, how did I catch myself feeling good today? How did I catch myself feeling good today? Well, there's a whole bunch of ways that I did. But the very first awareness that I had this morning that I feel good is that first thing that happens when my feet hit the floor in the morning is I go straight to my little fur babies, my little, my dogs, little Hazel and Nemo, he's also known as little brother. and I go right to them. They're still looking like the letter C backwards on my bed. They're curled in a C shape, and they're just laying there and they're snoozing. And I just go to each one and I hold their face in my hands and I kiss them on their forehead and just breathe in the smell of them for a moment. I caught myself feeling so good doing that. I really did. I also caught myself feeling good when I opened my closet and the outfit that is the sunniest clothing that I have was right there. And I felt good knowing that's exactly what I'm going to wear. It's that it couldn't be anything else other than the yellow tank top and the yellow blouse, the yellow flowered blouse. Those are the things that will be worn whenever I'm speaking about catching myself feeling good. Another way that I caught myself feeling good was that I just paused for a moment to notice that, oh my goodness, the sun is just barely up, but it's a sunny day. It might not be this way all day. I haven't checked the weather forecast, but I could tell that right now, as the sun is rising this morning, it's a clear sunny day. The sky is blue. It's going to be brilliant sunshine out there. And it just made me really feel good. It made me feel terrific. And then another way that I caught myself feeling good was I have been learning the words to a song. And one of the ways that I love to learn a new song is to listen to the original recording artist and listen again and again and again until I learn the melody and the words to the song. And then I go into YouTube and listen to as many as I can find. And for some of them, there are dozens and dozens, but sometimes there's only one or two. But it's the cover of that song by another artist. And sometimes the cover of that song is done by another well-known recording artist, as we all know. But there can also be a person who is just recording at their house, or they're busking on a street corner, or they're playing, let's say, for instance, on a stage in a high school auditorium or whatever, but the song is recorded and it's put up on YouTube. And I know there's copyright laws and all that stuff. That's not what this is about. What I'm speaking about is I want to see and hear as many different covers of that song as there are. And it might take me weeks to cover all, to listen to all of them. But it's one of the things that I don't know why, it just makes me feel good. It just does. So there is a beautiful song. It's an ancient folk song. It comes from Mexico, and it's a bolero. It's an old, it's considered to be Spanish language folk music or Latin folk music. And it is, it originated as an old Mexican cowboy song. And it's just a beautiful piece of music, and it's called Malagueña Salarosa. And I don't speak Spanish fluently, so I'm sure I'm pronouncing it wrong, but that's okay. I'm not hung up on perfection, and it feels good. I'm catching myself feeling good, saying, that's okay. I'm not hung up on perfection. Just did another one that felt good. And I recognized it. I shared it with you. But that song is so incredibly beautiful. And this morning when I got out of bed, I could hear it playing in my head. And I love it when a song gets in so intensely, and in my mind, I'm not singing it out loud, but I'm hearing the words in my mind, which means that language in that song it's a foreign language to me. I never learned Spanish language to speak it. But each time I learn a different version of that song, the artist might change the lyrics a little bit, and I got to look it up what that means. And then I come to a new understanding, and there's a lot of creativity. There's a lot of creative force in an individual's interpretation of a well-known written piece of music that's been recorded by multiple different recording artists originating from Mexico. A lot of mariachi bands have recorded that song, and then you might hear someone, let's say, for instance, from Puerto Rico, someone such as Jose Feliciano, I'm a huge fan of Jose Feliciano, and he might introduce that song on stage as a huapango, which is a little bit different form of Spanish language folk music. And so what it does is, what I'm giving myself is this experience that is a really broad, huge, wonderful experience. And it's done through just little bits here and there. If I have 15 minutes in a day, I'm out with my dogs. If I'm sitting on my front porch, I might listen to that and give that my attention. I want to hear one more version of that beautiful song. And I want to pay attention. I want to have my ears tuned and my heart, my emotions tuned to, have they added in anything or left a certain part out? And what does that part that's added in mean? What is the language that is in that I can decode with my Spanish to English dictionary? It's an English to Spanish, Spanish to English dictionary, and I can understand it better. And that might change the way I feel. Because if that person added that in, it had meaning to them, and they wanted people to know and notice that that's there. So I can look it up and see what it is and see, isn't that beautiful? They added in even more beautiful language to the original lyric. I've caught myself feeling good. And I kind of think that the person who did that might have felt good while they were doing it too, so that the rest of us would feel good. Anybody who hears it might feel good. Well, for me, it's a song that every single time I have ever heard it since I was a little tiny girl. It was part of my dad's record collection. There were a folk duo from the 1960s named Bud and Travis. It was Bud Dashiell and Travis Edmondson. And they were wonderful. And here I am, almost 61, and I'm still enjoying their music. And I still catch myself feeling good when I do. So here's the question for you. How much are you going to notice today that you've caught yourself feeling good? It might happen while you're driving. Could happen while you're in the bathroom. You might just all of a sudden say, oh my gosh, I just stuck my hand in my pocket when, and I was reaching for a Kleenex, but I found a $5 bill in there that I didn't have these pants on for a while, and I had no idea that there was money in the pocket. That makes us feel good for a second, doesn't it? Woohoo, found $5 that I didn't know I had. It happens. And we can be in a kind of odd place when it happens, but it happens and it feels good. You might find that, you get a thrill from sending a letter to somebody that you hardly ever communicate with. Might sit down and just write a really short letter, put it in an envelope, stick a stamp on it, put it in your mailbox, and walk away from that mailbox going, wow, that felt good. And when we recognize it, it's just doing something to our central nervous system. It is doing something to our brain that helps us to recover in a way that is hard for me to quantify with human language. It changes us. It changes our brain. It literally rewires our brain so that we can become reaccustomed to feeling good the way that we used to a long time ago. And I'm making a big assumption that you used to a long time ago. You might be a person, and I'm so sad and sorry that if this is your experience, you might be a person who's never had that. The regular, just happen across feeling good kind of moments. You might be a person who was in such a traumatized state or in such an abused state, which again would be highly traumatizing. If that's been your experience, I am deeply, deeply saddened if it is. It is not okay. If you have been a person who has never known feeling good, that's not okay. This person does understand that that's not your fault. It does happen to some people. But your brain is still plastic as opposed to static, and it can change. It can rewire itself. There's a book behind me on the shelf. It's a book by a man named Norman Doidge, MD. And he wrote a book. There's a series of books that he wrote. And I want to make sure that I get the name of the book correct. So excuse me for just a moment. This is the book. It's called The Brain That Changes Itself by Dr. Norman Doidge, MD. Okay, this is the book. And it is about 423 pages long, including the index. This book was recommended to me by the PA at a psychiatrist's office when my son was recovering from his brain injury. And this book was shown to me. It is a series of stories where the doctor is giving the proof that a person's brain can rewire itself. It can change itself, but it takes some conscious awareness from us and some small doable action steps. And so that's what this video series is about. It is about taking the small doable action steps to help our brain change itself, and so that we can go from a person who doesn't feel good to a person who catches themselves feeling good. We catch ourselves in those tiny moments and we track it. We recognize it. You don't have to write it down, but you can. If it helps you at the beginning just to get used to it, maybe, once or twice a day, you can just jot down on a little piece of paper. It'll be proof that you can look at that it happened for you, that you had a moment where you caught yourself feeling good. This has been a really good discussion. I have appreciated you being here. I am delighted that you come to my channel and that you find some resource here. If you have not liked this video already, please go ahead and hit the like button. Please do that. That would help me so much. It helps me to reach more trauma and abuse survivors. Dedicated the rest of my life to helping trauma and abuse survivors recover. And my small contributions to the trauma and abuse community give me a great amount of satisfaction. And I couldn't be happier to be here spending my time doing this with all of you. It's an honor and a privilege, and I am delighted. If you wouldn't mind, please hit the share. Share it on whatever platform that you would like to. Hit the notification bell, put comments in the comment section for me. That would be super great. And let me know what you think of the new series and if it's helping you. I would love to have some feedback from you. It helps me feel the inspiration to continue to do my work and to continue to bring up new content for my viewers. So if you're interested in becoming a client for certified trauma recovery coaching sessions with me, Lynn Bouthillier, CTRC, you can find me at lynnbouthillier.com. You can send me an email, lynn@lynnbouthillier.com, or you can call my number, which is 716-994-3052. I would love to hear from you, and I would love to help you as your co-equal peer, a person who is a staunch supporter of you on your trauma recovery journey. So have the very best day, everyone. Please remember, self-care is never selfish. It is essential. And finding yourself feeling good is excellent self-care. Catching yourself feeling good is excellent self-care. And you are infinitely worthy of your own trauma recovery. See you in the next one. Watch for the yellow shirt. Bye.